Greetings and peace. I hope you and yours are doing well today, wherever you might be watching this from. Now, the title of today's presentation will be The Teachings of Clarence13X, the 5% Nation, and its similarity to Freemasonry. Now, I haven't seen the 5%ers covered in any Masonic education program, so I wanted to take the honor to do this. And I would encourage everyone to please watch this with an open mind, as myself as a Sufi Muslim will also try to bridge the gaps between the 5%ers and the traditional Muslims who see them as forbidden. So I believe that we all owe this love and light to each other, and we're all walking each other home. And I thank everyone who sticks by me and supports me, and I hope you enjoy the history of Clarence13X and the 5% Nation as I cover this topic. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy what I have to offer. Now, before I talk about Clarence13X, I first want to clear up the fact that Clarence13X, he loved and respected everyone. It doesn't matter what your race or religion was. Just like how a Mason loves and respects everyone in their quest to uplift humanity, become the perfect man, and chip away at his rough ashlar to make it a smooth ashlar. Clarence13X's vision was the same for his followers, and he did not like the traditional religious approach to things with, he believed that was controlling people and not exhibiting their full potential, hence why he formed his own independent group. Now, he's known as Allah the Father, and he states that he's neither pro-black nor anti-white, because in the national statement given at the Brookdale College in Monmouth County, 1998, by one of his representatives of the Nations of the Gods at the Earth at the time, Dumar Wade Allah, they say that we are not anti-white nor pro-black. They also have white 5%ers, and they're a collective conscious community that is not taking any sides. They believe that they're pro-righteousness and anti-devilishment, and that can mean that you have good people that come from all races, religions, and walks of life, and then you have bad people that are also in all races, religions, and walks of life. So in their quest, it's a fight between light and dark, and they're on the side of pro-righteousness. So the Clarence13X vision is to bring humanity together, no matter what your race, religion, socioeconomic status, and to also bring everyone together and not be a victim of the agents of chaos that exist in all of the races, groups, and religions that are out there, and they hide behind those identities. So the 5% Nation is sometimes referred to as the nation of the gods in the earth. NGE or NOGE, or they're known as the 5%ers, the 5% movement. So they have like different acronyms to them. Their holy city, which they call Mecca, or their Mecca Medina area, is in Harlem section of New York, founded in 1964, founded by Allah the Father, Clarence13X. So he was born on February 22nd, 1928 in Virginia. He was in the United States Army as well, where he had served in the Korean War. I mean, he was a decorated a soldier in the United States Army, and he also had an honorable discharge. So once, life was transitioning for him after the Army, he began visiting the Nation of Islam's Temple Number 7, where he met Malcolm X, who was known as El Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, and he was captivated and entranced by him. And after that, he changed his name from Clarence Edward Smith to Clarence13X, in accordance with the custom of the Nation of Islam to not take a European last name. And once he was a member of the Nation of Islam, he became an avid student of Malcolm X and the literature and lessons of the Nation of Islam. He was also very active in their fraternal group, which is the fraternal military-style group of the Fruit of Islam, which it's similar to like a Masonic fraternal group, where they inhibit qualities of discipline, religion, and to be upright men of society. So as time went on, in 1963, Clarence13X began teaching his disciples that, the melanated man collectively was the original man and God. And he had rejected the Nation of Islam's doctrine because he believed that not just Nation of Islam, but all other religions that tell you to look outside of yourself to find God is not the right way, because in the eyes of Clarence13X and the high science that he was professing, all of the collective divine is within you. And it's said that in the surah, in the book of Luke, that the kingdom of heaven is within in the Holy Bible, and also Surah 50 in the Holy Quran, that we are closer to man than his jugular vein. So that's what Clarence13X was trying to teach his followers, that you don't need to look outside or look to the sky and pray to a mystery God. That divinity is within all of you. And that's why in a lot of these holy scriptures, God always refers to itself as we, that we created mankind in our image, and it's always we, our, in third person, because Clarence13X was teaching that Allah, the creator, was experiencing this reality through all of us. And that's why a lot of the Sufi saints too also say that only Allah can worship Allah. And that's why when the 5%ers see each other, they always say peace God, or peace to each other, peace Allah, because they believe that the divine is having that experience through all of them here, through their, the supreme mathematics and alphabets. So between the 1963 and 64, Clarence13X, he eventually left the Nation of Islam. He renamed himself Allah and founded what is known as the 5% Nation of the gods in the earth. They ended up calling him the Father because many of the youth that he captivated were products of broken homes, and this was a father figure to them. And that's why as time went on, he became known as Allah the Father. So, the members of this group call themselves the 5%ers of Allah, and it reflects, the perception that the 10% of the world's population know the truth of existence, and the other people, the 85% that you have in positions of power, or clergymen, imams, churches and mosques and synagogues, they keep their followers in a thumb of ignorance on purpose, because they don't want them to find out the truth, and they don't want them to collectively come together. And they're teaching that, okay, everyone's trying to win converts out here. They're saying we're right, they're wrong. The other person is saying we're right, they're wrong. But nobody's teaching love and human unity. Even in today's society, everyone's trying to win somebody to their cause, but they're not teaching them that, hey, we're all in this together, and we're all one human family. And that's what, the nation of the gods in the earth was about. So they were trying to uplift the status of their people and become perfect and help their communities and chip away at their imperfections, just like how a Mason would. And through their set of principles known as the supreme mathematics and supreme alphabets is their key to understanding what mankind's relationship is to their self, to the universe, to their family, to their brotherhood, etc. They do not believe in a God, but a form of basically that it's within you. Everything is within you. That's the main purpose of their teaching. Clarence13X also teaches us is that the ritual worship is to bring peace to your heart and serve others. And one who becomes worshipful, just like in Masonic world, is one who is close to God. And that's why they see each other as extensions of God. And that's why each 5%er will have Allah in his name. So he will choose a name of his own free will and then add Allah to it. Now, the material ritual worship of the material being and inner worship of the heart must basically unite as one in order to be perfect with God. If your heart is lacking, then this ritual will only give you rank but not divinity. Same like in the Masonic world, where you can have all the titles and acronyms and honors, but if you don't have that honor and love within your heart, then you don't achieve that divinity, because that ritual is supposed to make you into a worshipful status by becoming closer to God and becoming that perfect temple and the perfect ashlar. And that's what Clarence13X was teaching us. And also, a lot of people say that this is haram, but we also have to realize that even in the Holy Quran, in the Surah Kaf, verse 17, it says that spiritual teachers that would come after the time of the Prophet Muhammad to guide their people. Now, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the final prophet according to traditional Islamic teaching, but this verse in the Quran does say that there will be saints and leaders and teachers that will come after the time of the prophet to continue to pass the knowledge and to continue to uplift their peoples. So, those in the Islamic community who might have any ignorance towards, Elijah Muhammad or Clarence13X or any spiritual leader that came after, the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, know that this is supported by the divine, and we must follow these teachings, as even in the Sufi saints say that only Allah can worship Allah. So we have to understand what kind of mind that Clarence13X is trying to teach us and trying to help us approach in a society that's more divided than ever. And we can learn from his examples that it's not about being pro-white or pro-black. It's about being pro-righteousness and anti-devilishment. And, the devil that he was, fighting against was that the one that exists in every man. And he was trying to help his people achieve that. And that's what I have to commend him for. One of the main concepts of the nations of the gods in the earth is that you need both masculine and feminine energies to make a man whole and a woman whole, a child whole, and to make the whole family whole. Because you need a man, woman, and child in the whole triangle to uplift that status of divinity and to make sure that there's order in your home. And that's what they were trying to do in America, especially now. From the 1960s up until now, there has been a big increase in single-parent households. And a lot of these kids that are growing up without either a masculine or a feminine figure are growing up with emotional, spiritual, mental, other kind of setbacks in their life where they cannot have that positive relationships. So the nations of the gods in the earth stressed that you need all of these things to make a divine being and to get yourself closer to that divinity when you have these energies in your atmosphere and in your household and in your family. Now, even in the Islamic Quranic point of view, when you recite Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, you start with Allah, who is the genderless, transcendental being. Then the feminine Rahman, the Quranic aspect, and the masculine Rahim, which includes all the principles of the universe. This is why a Muslim is not considered a whole being with his faith, until he has a mate, which is his other half. A woman is not considered a whole being until she has a husband. A man is not considered completing half of his faith until he marries a woman. And in Holy Quran, Surah 17, verse 110, Allah says that besides Allah, you can call me by Rahman, which is a merciful feminine name. The story of the feminine is practiced in many occult traditions as well with those that try to be feminine masculine at the same time and achieve that balance of the perfect genderless being that only Allah has. Now that's even depicted in the Baphomet, where a lot of that knowledge that the Knights Templars had, they were in the Sufi lodges during the Crusades, and they were studying with the Sufis under the Al-Aqsa Temple. And a lot of that knowledge of uniting the masculine and feminine principles and the animalistic side of your lower nature to make that all into combined one whole being was taught in those Sufi lodges, and they took that back to Europe with them, which then they made them label as heretics. But that science is still prevalent today. You need to be able to balance those masculine and feminine energies within yourself and the inner child of your heart, where a lot of people say that you need the mind and the heart of a child to be able to see things and to be able to have the divine reveal those things to you when you have a pure heart and your energies are balanced. And now we have either a society that's too masculine or too feminine. Nobody's trying to find the middle ground. Especially what I've seen in America recently is that no matter what issue it is, whether it's relationships or social issues or race or religion issues, it's either on one extreme or the other. And we've got to realize that in order to benefit everybody, we have to walk the middle path. And that's what Clarence13X is teaching us, that we have to unite all of these principles in order for us to uplift ourselves as the perfect man or the perfect woman. Even in the the Masonic terminology as well, is that you have to raise that perfect temple. And when you become that perfect temple, then all is welcome in that status of divinity. Now, the main foundation of the nations of the gods and the earth is their supreme understanding, which is comprised of supreme mathematics and the supreme alphabet. Now, so starting with the supreme mathematics, number one being knowledge. Knowledge is the accumulation of your life experience and basically the facts that you learn through respecting others, from listening to others, observing others, and you apply that to your existence. And the light from the sun, it's part of that foundation, where something that's already but you're just trying to unlock that within yourself. Just like how every time Neo went to the oracle, she would always tell him to know thyself. When you know thyself, you know your God. And even the Sufi always says that I was always trying to find my God, but I only found myself. Whenever I found myself, I found my God. So that's what they're telling you, is that you need to unlock those abilities within you through the knowledge you gain throughout your life. Two, being wisdom. Wisdom is the woman, who is the moon. Wisdom is the manifestation of your knowledge and your foundation. Because if you don't have the woman in your life, then that basically creates the rift between the divinity that's supposed to be there to elevate all of those energies of the masculine, feminine, and the child. And we have that in today's society, where you have different agendas that want to keep men away from women and women away from men. Number three being understanding. So understanding is basically the addition of knowledge and wisdom. 1 + 2 is 3. That complete comprehension. It's also the highest form of the child, and you having a childlike heart in all of your undertakings. And understanding is love. Understanding is built from knowledge, and it's built from being under something. So instead of somebody would use, like in the 5%, they would say that I overstand, because they don't want to introduce the negative terms into the conversation, because the English language is full of spells, and every word has some kind of feeling to it. So they would rather use overstand rather than understand, because you have to make sure you're using these words correctly, because they can be powerful depending on how you use them. Power is knowledge. It is what we gain when we seek to outgrow yourselves and your limitations. And basically it's that balance of the power between the feminine and masculine energies within yourself, where a man should always act appropriately. A woman should always be dressed modestly and cherished, as the caregiver and the creator of the home. And just like how, the earth keeps herself, the Mother Earth, she covers herself. 3/4 of earth is covered with water, and that's what they want, how your women to be, covered and honored and cherished, and not to be objectified in any way, which we have in today's society. Now, going on, equality is to be equal in all things in existence, such as knowledge, wisdom, understanding. When you share the love and knowledge with each other, you fulfill that understanding, and that's what it's truly about. God, the supreme being, and from their point of view, the Asiatic black man, who is the original God, Allah, Lord of all the worlds, supreme ruler of the universe, which is everything, sun, moon, and stars. And that's important that, they're teaching you that there's not a mystery God that you have to pray to outside, that's, above, somewhere separate from you, because once you create that separation, then you give your power away to the people that want to control you. They're teaching you that all of that is already within you. You don't need to go have a pilgrimage somewhere in order to find God. God is within you. That's what the Sufis teach. That's what Surah 50 of the Holy Quran tells you, that Almighty God is closer to you than your jugular vein. Even in the Bible, book of Luke, kingdom of heaven is within. And that's what they're teaching you here with supreme mathematics. Build and destroy. If you want to build, it's about, expanding on the concepts of math, science, political issues, and any universal truth that you're trying to connect to. That's what, it's about build. That's why when a lot of people talk with each other, they're like, hey man, let's build together. Hey God, hey peace, God, let's build together. And even in Freemasonry, everyone, Masonic brothers love to sit and have intellectual conversations with each other in order to further their understanding about themselves and the world. Destroy. Wherever there is the introduction of destroy, it allows you're allowing the negativity to outweigh the positive. And you're basically arguing. And you even have that in the Masonic circles as well, where they love to argue with each other. So, very, very similar. The aspect of being born, the completion of all in existence. Many times you have 5%ers that they say they're born with that knowledge, or, you're brought from that darkness to light. And it's that manifestation of what you're trying to achieve. Now, there should be 10, but 10 they call 0, the cipher. That represents the perfect circle of the 360 degrees, the point within a circle, and at 360 degrees around your head like a circle. Even when one wears a kufi, they're basically protecting that knowledge within themselves. So vamporoid entities cannot suck off their energy. So it's about having control over the things in your life, about the cipher and that divinity within your life. So it's teaching you that the 5%er cannot control everything in their life and to remain free of the ego. They're telling you to be free of the ego and telling you that we live in an imperfect world. There will be things that you don't have the power to control, and you just try your best. Just like how a Mason is told that the world is imperfect, man is imperfect, but it's your job to continue to work towards that perfection each passing day and each passing effort. Now, moving on to supreme alphabets. Now, the alphabets, they have their own perceptions of alphabets from A to Z. Now, Allah, who's starting with A, is the supreme being, the melanated man from Asia, the sole controller and ruler of the universe. He is basically one that has knowledge of himself, because Allah is arm, leg, arm, and head. He's the one that understands everything, the science of life. The one who knows himself knows God. The one who knows God, he knows himself. And he's trying to be that all-seeing in his path of life. B, which is born. B means to exist. Just as it takes 9 months for a child to come into this world physically, it will take you 9 stages from knowledge to born to achieve that divinity, and with your third eye chakra, and to close your eyes and to be able to see through that spiritual eye of understanding who you are. C is to understand, or C, or S-E-E, C. That's to understand clearly through their third eye, which is the mind, because you have the 2 physical eyes, but you have to be able to see through the spiritual eye of the heart as well, to see things for what they are. And D, which is divine or destroy. One must be divine, meaning pure and refined, in order to destroy all the evil and negativity. Divine is something that you basically have to purify from negative beings. How even in religion they tell you that even people that are bad in this life, everyone's guaranteed to go to heaven, but first they have to go through a purgatory or a period in hell before they're allowed back in heaven. So they're telling you to do that while you're here on earth, and not to be go through that in the next realm. So they're teaching you that you have to build upon these principles and achieve that positivity, because Islam is I, self, am Lord and Master. Equality is to deal with all aspects of life equally. No matter what race, religion, or creed, you have to love and respect everyone equally. And the beauty is that even dealing with demonic beings in your life, you deal with them with love and wisdom, because that's true love is what destroys all of that. It's not about falling into any sides of extremities or extreme this side or extreme that side. So it's about love. You have to choose love and not fear, and that's what equality is about. Father, fat her. If you look at the way that it's spelled, it's the divine seed of God, which is the understanding. Mentally, to fat her, father, with the proper knowledge, so that the child may be properly raised. So you have a child that has the love of the both divine masculine and the divine feminine, and it encompasses everything about love, peace, and happiness. God is basically every original melanated man on planet Earth, and every melanated man is God by nature. And it's about possessing those 7.5 ounces of original brain cells. God is the one who knows and understands all that consists in a cipher. God is the one who reveals to others that who's God. And there's a Sufi story where the Sufi was trying to get close to God, and he kept knocking on the door of Allah, and Allah kept asking him, "Who is it?" And he would basically say, "It's me," and he would be denied entry. He would knock on the door again, "Who is it?" He would say, "It's me." And then the third time he knocked on the door, and Allah asked him, "Who is it?" And he said, "It's you." And then he opened the door and he told him to come in. So that's what this is. Moving on to H, it's he or her, or he or she have the power to build or destroy, depending on the level of their awareness, meaning supreme intelligence. And if the man and the woman is not united with each other, then it's not going to help anybody's cause. And that's what Clarence13X is teaching us, is that we got to be together. Islam, it's about I sincerely love Allah's mathematics. I self am Lord and Master. Your third eye, and becoming one with the woman and the child, and encompassing all of that knowledge of the Islam is to understand better yourself, the world you're in, and God. J, it's the basically justice. You see everyone being treated equally. It's a reward and penalty depending on righteousness or positiveness. And that's what they're saying, is that they're all positive and against devilish behavior. And that includes positivity in all races, religions, and creeds, and resisting the wicked and evil in all races, religions, and creeds. Just like how Masonry teaches you to always be a sword of justice, and to resist the evil wherever you find it in all venues. And moving on to K, king or kingdom. King is the one who shows and proves to be all right and exact to guide the people justly, because one who guides his people justly is the one who will achieve positivity and positive reforms within his community. It's about you knowing what's right and what's wrong and taking the charge to do so, rather than those people who choose to look the other way and say ignore the problem or gaslight other people. That doesn't help anybody. You got to be able to love and respect everyone equally and rule them justly. That's when you have a prosperous society. It's not about putting other people back and helping other people succeed because of socioeconomic status, or you don't like the color of their skin. That's an unjust king or an unjust kingdom, and that is destined to fail. L, that's love, hell or right. If you love your nation, you will go through hell to make it come out right. Just like how the Sufi or the Mason, they go through trials and tribulations to become one with that perfect being. And you have to have a perfect heart. And it's about having that supreme understanding, because that is the only truth. M is master, the one who knows and understands everything within his circumference. The master culture is Islam, which is the way of life. And Allah is basically the only reality. Almighty God is the only reality. How a Mason would say that the Almighty God is the Supreme Grand Master, and that's who I live my life to serve, with the 360 degrees of his cipher. The Master is the Lord, who is the King, that who is Allah. So I, we, our, just like how the divine refers to itself, it's all of us collectively experiencing this reality through the mind and heart, through the mind of the divine. So in this dream realm that we're in currently, life is a dream. Master is the one who experiences a certain set of skill. Now, or end, now's the time for everyone to come together and build a strong, righteous nation. This is being said in the 1960s, and look how true it is today. And put an end to the devil's uncivilized nation. Now, most people misunderstand what they mean by devil. They're not calling, the white man the devil. The devil is the one that's there to cause mischief, that exists in all walks of life. And we see that with all the recent events that took place. You can't just blame one set of people for the chaos that ensued. So it's time to build a strong and positive nation, to prove that you're all there to love each other and to destroy negativity. O, which is the cipher. Any place, person, or thing complete within itself. The cipher is the 360-degree circle. And that's dealing with knowledge and men and women and child becoming whole, and to make sure that that love and equality is there within your nation, within your communities, within your families, and then you're there to build each other and not destroy each other, because that's exactly what it's about. Moving on to P. P's the power, the truth. Truth is basically that light to set your mental energies and free yourself from all the slavery that tells you that you're confined to this one faith or you're confined to this one way of life. You have to be a free thinker. You have to be a free thinker in your life, and not to be mentally dead or blind and deaf and dumb to the reality of life. It's about knowing that, that those, the evil ones that are always working against you, you have to be better than that. Q is the queen. Queen is, the woman in your life who acknowledges God in order to build alongside of God, because you have the mother and the father, the creators who create life, and she's the female companion or counterpart to the king. Even in traditional Islam, the faith of a man and woman is not complete until they have their other half. So she must always acknowledge her king to uphold her place by the king. Queen is the one who acknowledges God's circumference. So, they can build together and love each other. And they're known as the mother of civilization, hence why the ancient culture is always referred to the mother Tiamat, or, the Hindu goddesses, always in a feminine way. But modern society, what, Queen is teaching you in the supreme alphabets is that she's been blinded to her powers, and she's been taught to, hate other women, be in a competition with other women, or be in a competition with her man. It's not about that. It's about earning your control and your rightful place as becoming a mother of any institution which is bestowed upon you. R is ruler. To rule is the nature of the melanated man, because he was not made to be ruled, and that's why all the things that are going on right now. Rule is to rule something wisely the way the king does, because he gives it to understanding. And rules are given to those who live a righteous life, and they're governed by the Almighty, and to do everything in a correct way. Self is yourself. S is yourself or savior. The knowledge of the melanated man is what makes him the savior of himself, because you hone yourself and you know thyself, instead of having someone coming to save you or waiting for some event that will come and save you. You have to save yourself by working out of your lower nature and negative traits and aspects. It's about being one who was blind, deaf, and dumb to life, and now he becomes born from the cipher from 1 to 0. You become that perfect 0 and become one with that divine being and the creator. That's what it's exactly about. T is for truth or square, just like how a Mason stands on a square for truth. The truth is a light that leads one out of darkness, from darkness to light. A square has 4 corners. Each corner has 90 degrees. 90 times 4, 360, the perfect cipher of the knowledge that the Clarence13X is trying to teach his followers. The truth is a living light of Allah's mathematics, because the math is holy. And even if you see in all the occult events that have occurred in society to this very day, everything is always done by the numbers, which is, the gematria aspect, or gematria, where a lot of people say that all events are carried out by the numbers. And mathematics is a part of that being, the truth of the light. It's about the square that corresponds with the four corners of the earth. The truth is only light that can stand by itself in the surroundings of darkness and yet be noticed shining in the square. You, the universe, when that's, you is you. Y-O-U, you. When you wisdom speak your knowledge, you bring forth the understandings, which is the completion of your universe. The universe is everything, the sun, moon, and stars, or how a Mason would see those in a divine aspect as well. Those are the celestial bodies. When you and I verse, see with the English words, the spells that are there, you and I verse, because we're all together, you and I. We bring about a more glorious and higher elevation of understanding. You must be apart to make something whole and strong. So anything weak cannot destroy your foundation. You be me, I be you, and together we are one Allah. Allah is the only reality. You and I, verse, all negativity. And your universe is your mother, father, brother, sister, child, cousin, friend, etc. V is victory. That's to show one's culture. Islam, you teach your nation and bring them out of being illiteracy and the lower nature of blind, deaf, and dumb, and you bring them, uplift their status from the fallen state of mankind, just like how a Mason does, to become the perfect man and to chip away at your imperfections, become the perfect ashlar Kaaba stone, just like how a Muslim would at the Kaaba with the four corners of the Kaaba, become one with your square and meet everyone on the level wearing the ihram when you go to Hajj or Umrah, just like Hiram, and meet everyone on the level as your brothers and sisters. And victory is when you achieve that mindset and not hate anybody. Wisdom, speak wisely. Wisdom is the water, the substance of earthly life, and that water that we carry within ourselves. It's about honing ourselves to those abilities. X is unknown. If one cannot speak about his or her culture or their true self, they cannot deal equally with others. If everyone is afraid to talk to each other and learn from each other, then you're basically in the unknown. You can't be blind, deaf, and dumb. You gotta be able to uplift yourself. How like a Mason is ready to uplift himself and his people, so too shall you. And that's the only way your people will get out of the condition that they're in. Because the 85%ers that, they believe that the deaf, dumb, and blind, or the so-called Negroes that need to grow from their mental depth and power because they are unknown to themselves. So they're teaching you, and this is very relevant to today, that the condition of a person, people's, or a person will not change unless you decide to change yourself, right? You can't expect anybody to come and save you or do reforms or listen to you, or you're crying to people for help or to join your cause. You have to collectively reform your communities. That's what he's saying, is take charge of your families, take charge of your kids. Find out what's going on in your communities. Find out who's selling the drugs in your community. Find out who's causing the problems in your community. And how can you all chip together and own your own businesses, your institutions, and your homeschooling programs. And he's telling you to all to take charge of yourself and your communities, and know that the more you cry to others for help, or the ones that you believe are working against you, the more you're setting yourself down. So why, which is why, W-H-Y, letter Y, is a question mostly asked by babies and the blind, deaf, and dumb. God is the only one that's qualified to answer those why questions. And basically, in order for you to get away from that status, it's about that wisdom to become born again and prove why you God, manifesting the making of God, you why. The 85% ask why, the 5% ask for what cause. Z, which is zigzag zig. Zigzag zig is to understand. Zigzag zig is, the melanated man, the woman, and her child. Sun, moon, and the star. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Zigzag zig is that perfect trinity, and to know that you have to be able to come out right through all of those struggles in your life. The 5%ers believe love, justice, equality for everyone, no matter what your race, religion, socioeconomic status, way of life. They see everyone being a part of this collective divine movement. Just like how, Freemasonry professes brotherhood. No matter who you are, what you believe, everyone's trying to improve themselves and become better, help their families, help themselves, help their friends, and improve all aspects of their life, family, and community, and to become perfect in their life, to help others, and to become one with that divinity and return to that source of divinity. Now, the main teachings of, the five percenters, and I want you to have an open mind about this, because they don't hate anybody. It's only a battle between right and wrong, so just, listen to this with an open mind, what they teach. So, the basic points that they're professing is that the black people are the original people of the planet Earth. They're the mothers and fathers of civilization, and that the science of supreme mathematics that Clarence13X left behind for them is the key to understanding the universe. Now, even in the Matrix, that's symbolized where you have the mother of the entire matrix of all the beings was portrayed by a black woman. And even when Bruce Almighty, when he asks to see God, with the Jim Carrey movie, when he asks to see God, it's portrayed by a black man. So, even Hollywood would probably show you those kind of symbolisms to what the five percenters are professing. So they're saying that Islam is a natural way of life, not a religion. Education, the mode of education should be to enable people to be self-sufficient as a people, which makes sense because now with the school system, it's by the time the kid gets out of school, they don't know how to write checks, how to manage credit, how to get their own place, like basic life skills that you need to survive in today's world. Those skills are not being taught to them to be self-sufficient. And, they teach that everyone should follow their own path according to their own free will as free thinkers, in respect to the Masonic path as well. So you have to follow and teach your own. They also say that the melanated man or the black man is God, and his proper name is Allah, arm, leg, arm, head, because in Islamic terminology, when somebody dies, we say that to Allah we belong and to him we shall return, because everything else is an illusion and Allah is the only reality. And basically that divine being is within all of us that are walking this earth, and we're a thought and a wisp in the dream of the divine that the divine is having. And it's basically aspects of the divine just learning and interacting with each other, because only Allah can worship Allah, and Allah is trying to find itself through us. And it's basically we're in the school trying to resonate with each other through the good and bad moments that occur. And it's about which path are we choosing to follow. They believe that the children are the link to the future, and they must be nurtured, respected, protected, educated, and loved beyond measure. Because if your children are not being taught properly, then your future generations will suffer because of that. And that's what they're saying, is that you need to make sure that you're a part of your children's life as much as possible, so you can guide them properly to be wonderful human beings. They believe that the mother, child, and the father, the unified black family, or the unified family as a whole, is the vital building block of the nation. Just like how, a Mason is supposed to be a good family man and to put his family first before any other responsibility. Now, what they're trying to achieve is they want national consciousness. They want consciousness of what is divine, what is right, what is wrong. They want to see that, okay, the awareness of the history and the culture of their people that they believed was not given credit to them, and they want to bring that awareness to their kids and to their families, and they want to work and struggle as one united body, and to liberate themselves from the domination of outside forces and bring into existence a universal government of love, peace, and happiness for all the people of the planet. So they are professing their teachings, but look what they're saying about the national consciousness is that bring into existence a universal government of love, peace, and happiness for all the people of the planet. Just like how a Mason is trying to teach everyone the universal principles of brotherhood, that hey, we can all come together and love one another no matter who you are, where you come from. And the 5%ers in Clarence13X are teaching the same exact thing, that our battle is against those that like to keep mankind divided through agendas and psyops, and we want to reclaim that what is rightfully humanity belongs to, and we need to have everyone come together and to educate ourselves and our children and our families. Now, they want control in their communities as well. Community control of education, economics, politics, media, health, you name it, the entire community from A to Z. They want to make sure that what the community is teaching, it flows out from the sciences of life, that everyone has that divinity within them. You don't have to hate anyone or condemn anyone to hell because they believe differently from you, and they don't have the right to do that to you. You're all a part of an extension of that divine who's experiencing this reality through us, and you have to be the sole controllers as free thinkers of your own destiny. And at a collective level, once you achieve that, then it is prerequisite to your future and survival that you focus on controlling the life-sustaining goods and services that your community needs in order to maintain and progress itself and become an advanced civilization. And once you have achieved complete community control, that's when the world will know the greatness of the culture and the supreme mathematics and the supreme alphabets. And this is very true today. A lot of people, it's very few communities that are united with each other. I mean, you walk down the street, everyone's scared to look at each other. All the news media, like how they say they want control of those institutions, all they're doing is pushing fear all the time, right? Even I, as a Muslim American growing up in America in the post 9/11 world, can see that this has existed long before this current, presidential administration came about. This has been going for a while, where it's always pushing, in some kind of agenda or a way of thought, and it's not to the benefit of people. Because if it was really about the benefit of the people, then you would show the good things on the news, that, hey, not everyone is bad. You can't label, the group of a certain individuals all as evil, right? There's good and bad that exist in all professions, groups, races, religions, and creeds in the world. I've seen it and I witnessed it myself. There were even people in my community who pray 5 times a day, who I knew some of them, and they were not good people. People that go to the church every Sunday, some of them were not good people. And that's what, even Swami Vivekananda in the Vedic teachings, way before any religion existed, even he says the same thing what the 5%ers are teaching, is that the divine sits in the heart of every man. And that's what we need to profess, that hey, once we realize that what I have within me the other person has too, then we would achieve that love and empathy and world peace. And that's what Clarence13X is trying to teach us. Their last and main principle is peace, because peace is the absence of chaos and the confusion and the hatred that we see in the world. And you need law and order. Law and order is very important and the very foundation of which your society rests on. And if you eliminate law and order, then chaos ensues. And that's what the agents of chaos wants. The ones that exist in all of those walks of life that want to see humanity destroyed and the human family, and fight against each other, rather than come together and create a beautiful world for everyone's children. So, supreme mathematics is the law and order, not just of the 5%ers, but the entire universe. The science of Islam, peace. Everything is about peace. Peace is a supreme understanding. And they want to achieve peace in themselves, in their communities, and the nation, and the world. That is their ultimate goal. And that's why whenever you greet somebody, you always say peace. This is New York City, where a lot of the 5%ers are originally based from. Now, the 5%ers have a lot of influence on the hip-hop scene as well. And you have seen, rappers like Busta Rhymes, Jay Electronica, Jay-Z, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, and many others who have supported the 5% cause. And it shows you that culture is still alive and well in the Harlem section of New York City, which unfortunately is being gentrified. And Clarence13X's lessons are prevalent even in today's time, is that you have to take control back of your communities. That's the only way you will achieve total peace and unity. Don't look for anyone to come save you. You have to save yourselves as a collective and become one in your energies and in your consumerism and all of the things that define who you are as a people. This is an example of what Clarence13X is trying to teach his community, such as the homeschooling aspect. And on the left-hand side, you see the Allah School in Mecca in New York City, and how they want to collectively train their youth, men and women, to become one with those principles and to take control of their lives. And I've seen that a lot in the Moorish community as well, where they don't put their kids through the public school system knowing that they're going to get an indoctrinated version of history and other aspects. It's about you taking charge of the lives of your own kids and teaching them correctly and guiding them correctly, because Clarence13X teaches you that your children are the link to the future, and if you're not building them correctly, then someone else is going to do it for you. As you see with the the modern day, the rap mumble culture and other things, and degrading men and women. That's somebody, whoever's behind that, is not doing it for the best interest of the melanated man or woman. It's about you taking control of all those aspects and bringing it back to the time of peace and love, and spreading good vibrations amongst one another. And that's what it's about. And on the right hand side, you have the Mosque of Malcolm X, Al Malik El Shabazz. And it's I believe now it's a traditional Sunni mosque, but this was also used by the 5%ers at one time also. And it shows you that their landmarks are still well and alive in New York City. And hopefully, whenever I get a chance to visit in the future, when things calm down, I will love to go to this mosque and pray there. Now, the Sufi teaches you, myself as a Sufi Muslim and Mason, is that I searched for God and found only myself. I searched for myself and found only God. And this is what the 5%ers are teaching you as well, for any of my traditional Muslim friends that might be watching this and thinking that what they're doing is not right. It's about being a free thinker and opening yourself to those ideas. What they're teaching has already existed in our faith long before anything came to inception. And that's why Clarence13X teaches you that everything in your life is basically in you. You just have to know thyself and find it, become that cipher again. And that's what he says here, is that you would go through hell to make what you love right. Daily we are given opportunity to love hell or live right, to build or destroy. It is the crossroad one faces each and every day. When you choose to love hell, you accept your hellish predicament in life. If you choose to love and live right, then you are blessed with good that is returned with the right actions. And it even says that in the Quran, that Allah only helps those who helps themselves. And the condition of a people or a person's or groups will not change unless they decide to help themselves. And that's exactly what the teachings of this group and the founder are, is that you have to take control of your life, and that the divine is within you, and you can't give anybody else your power or go to any place, because then you release that control over you by doing so. And it's all about doing good, thinking good, knowing good, how a Mason strives to be the perfect man, how the 5%er from the nation of gods in the earth is trying to become one with the unity of the divine. Same with the Sufi, who's trying to become one with the divine, with his love for his beloved God. So it's all one and the same. We all have to love and respect each other and take the effort to learn about each other with an open mind. Everyone has the free will to follow what is right for them. Because no matter what path you follow, it's all leading us to that same source. As long as your heart and your will and your purity and your ego, everything is right, then nobody has the right to condemn you to any hell because you don't believe what they believe. It's about unity, not about winning converts. It's about love and righteousness. It's not about, who's right and who's wrong, and, this person's right and this wrong. You're disowning friends and families over issues that are probably going to disappear within another few years or so. So it's about becoming one with each other. Here we have Jamal al-Afghani on the left-hand side, who I believe was part of that divine plan to bring to fruition of the Moorish Science Temple, the Nation of Islam, the Five Percenters, and all the groups that, came to inception in the North American hemisphere. Now, Jamal al-Afghani was a Mason from the Middle East who strived to uplift the status of his people, just like how any other saint or teacher that came after him, like Clarence13X, tried to profess to their people. And he was also the teacher of Madame Blavatsky of the Theosophy movement, whom she referred to him as Serapis Bey, or Serapis Bey, one of the ascended masters of the Brotherhood of Luxor, who were teaching everyone the immortality of the soul, from the Masonic aspect as well, and how a lot of the Theosophy teachings are from the East. And Jamal al-Afghani was her teacher. And also in the winter of 1881 or 82, I believe, he came to America with his disciple Muhammad Abdu, who was also a Masonic jurist scholar and religious reformer. And together they taught the parents of Noble Drew Ali. And that's when they had planted the seeds, knowing what was to come, as even Noble Drew Ali, when he went there to the east, the elders of Egypt and Morocco were already expecting him. So he was sent here to plant these seeds, knowing that, once I plant these seeds, then eventually the Moorish Science Temple will come to fruition. Then all of these things will happen. Same thing with, on the right-hand side, you have W.D. Fard Muhammad, who also came in the, Allah came in the form of Fard Muhammad. So that's what, Nation of Gods and Earth is teaching you, is that, what this man accomplished, all of you can too, by becoming one with that divine being. So he was also from the East, from the India-Pakistan area. So both of these gentlemen and, brothers that came from the East to the West, bringing their knowledge from the East to the West, Masonically speaking, they came here and they planted these seeds. And, what we see, whether it's Five Percenters, Moorish Science Temple, Nation of Islam, is because of these brothers that brought their knowledge from the East to the West and planted the seeds here. Now, not too many people might know about their history in that aspect, but what they're teaching you, is the immortality of the soul and becoming one with the divine, is what all of these spiritual, paths profess, to become the perfect temple, whether it's Sufism, Islam, Freemasonry, the Five Percenters, all paths, like Clarence13X says, if you do righteousness, that's what you'll get. If you're wicked, that's what you'll get. So it's about honoring the teachings of those that came before us, planted, so we can pass that on to our children, because the children will be the link to the future and the generations. This is a diagram and a layout of what the Five Percenter hopes to be able to achieve within his lifetime here on Earth. Now, the G in the square and the compass in Freemasonry represents the Gnosis, and they believe that there's 360 degrees of knowledge, and it just doesn't stop at 33, because that those 360 degrees encompass their entire head, like a circle or a point within a circle. You have the chance to move anywhere. The crescent and the star of Islam, the crescent moon and the Islamic star, that's basically the Ma and Sun. So the moon is Ma and the star is Sun, Ma Sun, or my son Mason. And they believe that the Christ basically is at the head, at your pineal gland, and you have to open your third eye for you to be able to achieve those, along with making sure that you're following the astrological signs of the things as well. Now, even with the five-pointed star, which comes up in the Moorish flag as well, they say that, okay, you have the 5 points, and you have A-L-L-A-H, Allah, which is arm, leg, arm, head. and that's what completes the whole being. Islam, which is I, self, law, am master. God is generator, operator, destroyer. With their supreme mathematics, they can either create, build, or destroy. And heart, once you spell out the numerology of it, it comes up to a total of 25. Simplified, it becomes 7. So 7 for them is the perfect number, just like how the letter G is the 7th letter, and how even in Islam you have to circle 7 times around the Kaaba. And many people that go through the grand line in their grand lodges to become grand master, usually at their 7th year they're installed as the grand master and have 7 stars on their collars in most jurisdictions. So 7 is that totality of divinity, and the Quran, they spell it out as knowledge, order, rhythm, astrology, astronomy, nature, similar to the liberal arts that a Mason is supposed to follow. Same with the sign here, which is the Hindu sign of peace. I mean, this sign has existed for thousands of years to ward off evil spirits, as the star child, or the the sign of Saraswati. But unfortunately, with the recent events within the last 100 years in Western society, this sign is seen as evil. But you have to realize that these signs and symbols have existed for thousands of years. Testament could be your testes in your lower realm. The menti is your body, and the old becomes the new, and hence why the Mason covers that part of his body with an apron, because you have to circumscribe your desires and live within due bounds. And that's why you're supposed to not deplete your sexual fluids in any way as well, only for the purpose of creating a child, because when you deplete the energy of your temple, and if the foundation is weak, then your entire temple crumbles. But Western society encourages consuming adult content and depleting yourself through masturbation, but to achieve that enlightenment, you're supposed to preserve yourself as much as you can, so that energy flows through up and down through the Kundalini serpent, which goes up through your crown chakra, and then you become that perfect being and that perfect temple. And that's what they're teaching you here in this diagram, is that all is within you. You don't need to look anywhere to find divinity. You don't need to go to an imam or a pastor or a rabbi or anybody else that's practically not going to teach you that information that you're looking for, or to teach you that, okay, these other people, we're all basically following the same path. You have a society where everyone's trying to win converts or to their cause, or they want to feel good about what they're doing, but they're not teaching that we're all the same. There's very few people that are teaching that, and hence why they call themselves the 5%ers, because they believe that 85% want to keep the system of control, while the other percentage that's there, they want to bring mankind together. And it's not about, a lot of people take them the wrong way, that they say that the black man is God, but you got to realize that they have other races too that are 5%ers. Their motto is that they're pro-righteousness and pro-devilish. And as you see with recent events, that good and bad people, they exist in all races, religions, and creeds and groups. It's about, you just can't blame everyone from the actions or the thoughts of a few. You have to be open-minded. That's what Masonry teaches you, to be a free thinker. And that's what the 5%ers are teaching you as well, from their perception and their knowledge as well. I thank you very much for watching my presentation. If you have any questions or comments, please email me at salmanshake911@gmail.com. I hope I afforded you the opportunity to learn how the Sufi path, the 5%er path, the Masonic path, it's all one and the same. No matter what spiritual path you choose to follow in your life, know that what Clarence13X teaches us is that as long as you strive for righteousness, you will be rewarded as such also, and the condition of yourself and your family and your people will be uplifted as you try to achieve perfection and build that perfect ashlar and temple within yourself. And I hope you watch this with an open mind, and if you share it with anyone, please encourage them to watch it with an open mind, because in life you will never grow unless you're ready to unlearn and learn and learn and unlearn and all that process again. So All images and thumbnails used in this presentation were retrieved from public domain searches and protected under copyright laws of fair use education purpose. My videos are always non-profit and for the purpose of education and awareness. All rights reserved.